why don't we just go back a few moves, as now it seems that Wei Yi is in for a thing. So as we turn back to the start of the game, it looked peaceful at the beginning where we had an Italian game, but I think Ivanka, from experience, if it tells us anything, is that these positions can heat up despite the quiet early stages.
Yes, and this makes this particular variation so complicated. It's a very difficult position because often you have to consider every single pawn lunge that there is. Also, you have to get used to playing with all the minor pieces on the board and very little space. And this makes life very difficult for both sides.
For sure. Look at this move, bishop to g5, trying to exert pressure. This is a pin piece here. If white gets some time, you would like to continue marching the pawns forward, as you mentioned, pushing the black bishop back. And so black says, you're annoying me with this pin. I don't want to leave this forever. Let me boot you out of there. And you said, let me keep that pin. Said, no, you really are not going to pin me anymore. And after a6, knight develops, bishop slides back. Just some preemptive moves so that when white pushes pawns, they won't attack the bishop. Now, once white commits the king, and I think this is important, so if we show now, is when g5 happened. Only after white commits his king to that side of the board, so that any attack that white hopes to build will be more difficult to accomplish with your own king on that side.
Yes, and I completely agree with you there, because otherwise the pawn on g5 would have been a hook for white to open up the position. And here, there's just no way that white can even think about opening up the position with h2, h4, because the king needs to be protected at all times. And I like Black's recipe there for dealing with this particular position. He says, you pinned me once, now it's my turn. And the bishop comes to g4. And now this game is going to be very, very sharp, because white steps forward, attacks the bishop. The bishop will most definitely step back. The bishop does not want to trade itself off and allow the knight on d2 to have a purpose. So once it steps back, everything is going to be about whether the black pawns and can just make an impact on the king side. White is going to try to lash out in the center and create pressure against e5, and this game is going to get wild. Has been played before though, according to the database.
It's a situation where you have to know exactly what you're doing, because white has created a hook. We're talking about how g5 could be a hook for white to exploit had black already castled the king and white had not. But on the flip side, g4 becomes a very nice looking idea for black to play, a rook sliding to g8, and suddenly we see immediate pressure towards the white king. I want to point one more thing out, Ivanka, that these pawns on g5 and e5, they look threatening, they're aiming into white's camp, but the square in between them, the f5 square, if a knight can wrap around somehow in our standard way of getting a knight to f1 up to g3, and eventually f5 square can be a juicy outpost for a white piece. It's a long ways away, I know that, but I'm just looking at some of the strategic notes in the position, and so f5 down the line, the light squares can...
just under 14 minutes, so plenty of time for him. Just Wei in trouble, both on and off the board.
You see Gukesh, he's doing something that everybody should take note of. Instead of rushing his decision and simply recapturing the bishop, which is going to be a good move objectively, he is trying to calculate and find the precise way. He wants to end the game now, if he can, rather than giving Wei any hope. So this bishop on e8 is loose. Once the bishop is captured, the e4 pawn is under attack, e2 is loose. Black is much better winning objectively in that position, but in a practical game, in a one-off, there could be some chances.
Yes. Well, this one is certainly very exciting. You can certainly feel the tension, the pressure, how much both players want this. And should we wait on this game, or should we take a look at the the bird's eye view?
Let's go to the bird's eye view, just because Gukesh, he's doing the right thing, aren't going as quickly as possible. It looks like, by the way, we see Wei and Gukesh in the background. Gukesh has mopped up that game and won the full point.
Yes, and there we see Gukesh also continuing the trend where Black is the one that invariably scores that decisive result. But what a fantastic game there from the teenager. Winning with the black pieces, it was a tense position, but he handled the complications like a professional. And there we see the players Wei and Gukesh analysing furiously, and it's just a sight to behold, right? To see the players just exchanging those ideas and learning from the game. And it was a tough to attain what were the best plans. And there you can see up on the board, this is the final position upon which Wei decided enough was enough and extended his hand in resignation.
This position is one where Black still is up a ton of material, and the latest move, queen to a5, offers a queen trade, protects the rook on a2, and hits this rook that is loose on e1. So it forces the queens off the board, lest White go down even more material. And Gukesh, he resets the pieces. I think he will happily place those kings on the dark squares in the center of the board, indicating a win for Black, a big win for Gukesh. He had a solid first game, game 2. It's a